All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to No Final Bell episode 26. We have quite a lot to throw at you. Um, as far as um, top news, Undertaker will be inducted into the 2022
Yes.
WWE Hall of Fame. Well deserved, dead man. Um,
Yeah.
30 plus years of experience in the wrestling ring, all in one company, and having that very long undefeated streak at WrestleMania before Brock Lesnar did break it.
21-0.
So
I don't think anybody could ever
has that kind of
even
record.
reach. Yeah. I don't even think anybody could even reach that kind of a WrestleMania record anymore. So
Right.
Undertaker is absolutely one of a kind in terms of that, and even just like, but more importantly, and what I feel gives him a like not just all of his accomplishments in the ring, but also like out of the ring as why he deserves the Hall of Fame induction. He was able to maintain kayfabe, not break character like at all during his entire 30-year run in WWE. And many people have tried to make him break character. Like for the most part, he has never broken character. I mean, every now and then you might get like a little smile out of him or like a little, but like just in general, dead set, nothing made him break character. So,
No,
which
not at all.
you know, for that alone, that's a Hall of Fame worthy. The fact that he was able to maintain his character throughout his entire 30 years.
Yeah, I know, and also the way that he was just able to put on great matches and great bangers of matches in his 30-year career is worth noting. Of course, winning the multiple championships he did in WWE and also WCW, and just like the undefeated streak was the main reason why he got in, and also he just was a great wrestler. Got to see many of his matches, not all of them, but many of them. In a span of watching wrestling like I have for years, and Marty as well. We were able to see a lot of Undertaker with WrestleManias and the WrestleManias against Shawn Michaels, which were great.
Quite frankly, I think at one point in our lives, we've even seen The Undertaker live.
Mm,
I'm pretty sure it was during a SmackDown taping here in Rochester back in, I want to say, 2004,
something like that.
somewhere around there. But either way, hell of a career, Undertaker. Well deserved induction into the Hall of Fame.
Yes, exactly. But I also wanted to say too that Edge was talking about how in his whole entire career, he started his basically his career at WrestleMania 14 as a young prospect, very young. Him talking about how the WrestleMania match at WrestleMania 2000 was stole the show with the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team TLC match,
Damn right it did.
and also talked about how he's fought 10 long years to get back into WrestleMania, main evented WrestleMania last year, but this year he's gonna, you know, lay down an open challenge to anybody in the locker room to face him at WrestleMania. Um, I'm gonna say this now. I think there's high speculation that there's been um, rumors going out there that Cody Rhodes has been working out at the Orlando Performance Center, which is all about confirmed that he is there. But the thing is that there's speculations that he could show up at WrestleMania and answer Edge's open challenge and wind up being in WWE. But there's also other sightings, like from Tony Khan and other things as well that say that he might be doing some other things. So we truly don't know what's going on with Cody Rhodes' um, side of things. We do know that he is no longer with AEW, as was noted in our post on Facebook, that he is no longer with AEW. The same thing with Brandy, but don't be shocked if they do end up in WWE again, even though I don't think that's the right move for Cody Rhodes and his wife going forward. Them being out of jobs kind of looks bad with a brand new kid in the picture because they are
Yeah.
unemployed and currently not making the money for the baby. But again, we'll see what happens with that. But as of right now, yes, that is currently what's happening. And honestly, who's to say that Edge's open challenge can't be answered by a returning Cody Rhodes?
That would certainly be something.
And also, it wouldn't shock me if he re-dyed his hair black, because I don't know how Vince would perceive Cody with the blonde hair in WWE, because he's always had the black hair when he was there before he left and dyed it blonde. So I'm really thinking that he probably is going to dye it back black. But we'll happen to see what goes on with that. But that's what I'm getting at. Um, it's going to be interesting now because he's going to have the tattoos. He never had the tattoos in WWE, so I don't know how that's all going to be perceived. But they can't really cover that up too much. So if I'm Vince and
Sure he could. Sure they could. Have him come back as Stardust. Problem solved. You don't have the tattoos.
no, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that he's just going to be dashing Cody Rhodes or something like that. But Cody, I wish that we could understand the whole background of why you made the decision that you did, but wherever you go just might not be the best one for your future.
My take is it it would make the most sense for Cody to go to NWA if I was to have him go anywhere. It would make the most sense for him to go to NWA. I mean, after all, NWA is pretty much the company that put his father on the map, for one, and two, have him like he already he's a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Have him go after the belt again. Cement his legacy in the NWA. It would be perfect.
Right, exactly.
It would be absolutely perfect.
But
Because look at Colby Carino right now. He's in NWA. He's trying to cement his legacy by following in his father's footsteps and trying to chase after the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. So
right.
why couldn't Cody do the same thing?
Well, we'll happen to see in the coming weeks and in the future there if Cody is actually gonna swerve us all. Who knows? You might need to get something situated before going back to the AEW, because that's out of the equation too. Who knows if he could actually re-sign back with the company that he did found and help create. So we'll happen to see what happens with that. But as of right now, who knows? We'll let you know when we know more. That's all I can say. But we are going to go into normal wrestling talk now. So Marty, start it off.
Yes. So we have Impact and NWA news, but we have a lot of Impact news because we had the tapings on Thursday, but we also had the Impact Plus special event of this month, which was No Surrender. And there is a lot to talk about with those two. So, first off, we have a contract signing for the Impact World Championship match at No Surrender, but the condition of W. Morrissey is still under question, is still up in the air because the previous week he was taken out by Moose with a chair. So either somebody was going to have to, like, legal representation for W. Morrissey was going to have to come down, or somehow miraculously W. Morrissey comes down to sign the contract, which does end up happening. W. Morrissey comes down. He's still standing after the beating that Moose gave him, but he was out for blood, and he ends up putting Moose through a table before No Surrender and signs the contract. So the match has been made official for No Surrender. But then we go backstage. Bullet Club in Bullet Club promises dubs all the way around for Chris Bay, for Guerrillas of Destiny, and for Jay White. We will get to that for No Surrender. But then we get to some in-ring action. Masha Slimovich beats Kaya Dream. Honestly, what they're doing with Masha Slimovich right now is like they're building her up, but at the same time, it's like if you really want to build her up, you would give her solid like knockouts competition instead of having her beat these like jobbers essentially in the knockout division. But either way, next is a triple threat match to determine who is the final participant in a fatal four-way number one contenders match for the X Division title and No Surrender. It is a match between Blake Christian, Laredo Kid, and Ace Austin. Ace Austin ends up being the final participant in that number one contender fatal four-way match. He joins Chris Bay, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Jake Something. Then we also confirm a match between Black Taurus and Jonah and No Surrender. And there's a backstage segment that Kiera with a K is still receiving flattering gifts and messages from the Inspiration. They really want him to ditch the Influence and join the Inspiration. But we'll have to see what happens with Caleb with a K and his allegiance and his but I mentioned on the show last week that Giselle Shaw made her presence felt in Impact Wrestling. She had her in-ring debut this week in a match against Lady Frost, and Giselle Shaw actually beat Lady Frost. Then we get to some in-ring action before No Surrender. We have some Honor No More and Team Impact representation. Chris Sabin actually steals the win against Kenny King. But after the match, there seems to be some dissension between Team Impact before No Surrender. So then we get a Knockouts tag team match. Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans beat Mickie James and Chelsea Green. We cut backstage after that, and Brian Myers is basically saying, like, the learning tree is done. You both cut. VSK, Zicky Dice, you're out. No more learning tree. Then in the main event, Bullet Club beat VBD. And now, so that's everything with the tapings. Now we get on to No Surrender. But first we have some matches on the countdown to No Surrender. First of all, we have Trey Miguel beating John Skyler, and it was a very nice sight to see Trey Miguel back after nesting some injuries as well as, dealing with the loss of his mother to breast cancer, which he did have an attire dedicated to that. All I can say to Trey Miguel at this time is just keep your head held high, make your mama proud up in heaven, and just continue doing what you do and defending your X Division title and, like I said, making your mom proud. But we move on from that. Havoc ends up beating Tennille Dashwood due to Caleb with a K receiving a phone call from the Inspiration during the match. And so that's the countdown. Then we get on to the main card of No Surrender. And we start off with the Fatal 4-Way number one contenders match. Jake Something beats Chris Bay, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Ace Austin to become the #1 contender for the X Division Championship. Jake something. That sure as hell is something. Jake something now cementing his place in the X Division as the #1 contender for the title. If you ask me what I feel like they should do with that, have Jake something beat Trey Miguel for the X Division Championship. Maybe not right away, but I'm just saying somewhere down the line, have Jake something beat Trey Miguel for the X Division Championship. Have him hold it maybe for a few months, maybe even a few weeks, or like whatever, and then eventually have Jake something cash in option C, challenge whoever is the Impact World Champion, and boom, you have a star in Jake something. But regardless, then we get on Jonah beats Black Taurus, and Jay White. He's had quite the weekend for himself. So first he was on Impact, then he was on Rampage, then he goes back to Impact for No Surrender. And at No Surrender, Jay White beat Eric Young, the leader of Violent by Design. So then we cut to a backstage segment of Ace Austin, and so it started out with Trey Miguel celebrating Jake something celebrating his victory and becoming the #1 contender. Trey Miguel is excited. He's looking forward to the opportunity. He wants Jake something to bring his A game in their match. But Ace Austin basically saying, like, oh, yeah, Jake something jumped the line, all this other stuff. And then he sees Ace Austin and Madman Fulton against Jake something, against Jake something and Trey Miguel. And Trey Miguel says, you know what I smell? I smell a tag team match. So after that, then we get to Ace Austin looking at Speedball Mike Bailey, and he says, hey, man, I could use a tag team partner, which is interesting to think that Ace Austin would go straight for Speedball Mike Bailey instead of Madman Fulton. But regardless, we now have a tag team match set up for this Thursday on Impact tomorrow night. Ace Austin and Speedball Mike Bailey against Trey Miguel and Jake something. Then we have the Champ Challenge, the Champ Open Challenge for either the Ring of Honor Women's World Title or the AAA Reina de Reinas Championship. Deonna Purrazzo beats Miranda Alizé to retain the Ring of Honor Women's World Title. And then we get to the Digital Media Championship match between Matt Cardona and Jordynne Grace. I was watching the match, and needless to say, Jordynne Grace let her emotions get the better of her. She ended up getting disqualified in her match for the Digital Media Championship against Matt Cardona. Kicked him right between the legs, right below the belt, because Matt Cardona and Jordynne Grace were both looking to use some dirty tactics, but ultimately Jordynne Grace used a dirty tactic. She kicked Matt Cardona right in his ding-a-ling. And then we get to some backstage stuff with Tasha Steelz. She's running down her match against Mickie James. But after the segment, Eddie Edwards is found laid out backstage before his match with Team Impact against Honor No More. What does this mean? We shall see. The Good Brothers retain the Impact Tag Team titles due to Jay White and Chris Bay turning on the Bullet Club. Bullet Club is imploding right before our eyes in Impact Wrestling and aligning with the Good Brothers. Are the Good Brothers back with Bullet Club? We shall see. But more importantly, I think Guerrillas of Destiny are out of Bullet Club. So, then we get to the Knockouts World Title match. Mickie James steals, pun intended, the win against Tasha Steelz to retain the knockout world title. So now begs the question: who, just who, is going to take the place of Honor No More I'm sorry, Team Impact against Honor No More, as we have a fallen member. Eddie Edwards is nowhere to be seen. He's laid out backstage. Who takes the place? It is Willie Mack. Willie Mack stepping up for Team Impact, taking the spot of a fallen Eddie Edwards. Then we get to our Impact World Championship match, the highly anticipated match between Moose and W. Morrissey. Unfortunately, we do not crown a new world champion. Matter of fact, none of the titles changed hands. Moose beats W. Morrissey for the Impact World title. But our main event, Honor No More versus Team Impact. Who will win? If Honor No More wins, they get to stay. If Team Impact wins, Honor No More is gone. But here's the real shocker. Honor No More beats Team Impact with the help of Eddie Edwards. Eddie Edwards shockingly turned on Team Impact. He is no longer Impact faithful. He is no longer he's no longer fighting for Impact. He doesn't give a damn about Impact anymore. He is standing and fighting with Honor No More. Why, Eddie? Why? But more importantly, Honor No More is now here to stay in Impact Wrestling. We'll have to see what happens with Honor No More. They are going to run roughshod over Impact Wrestling. So that's Impact Wrestling. Now we're on to NWA. So NWA Power this week was the start of Team War. There was Team War. And how it works is a little interesting because there's 3 participants from 4 different teams in the ring at the same time. 1 participant from each team. If you get eliminated by pinfall, submission, or over the top rope, somebody else in your team comes to save you until everybody has either been eliminated or what have you. But Strictly Business and El Rudo, Sam Adonis, win the first match in Team War. Then we have the triumphant return to NWA Power of the Pope. He is back, and he is preaching tradition. NWA is all about tradition. The Pope is preaching tradition. Then we have Camille versus Kiera Hogan for the NWA Women's World title. Unfortunately, Kiera Hogan, it was not her time. Camille beats Kiera Hogan to retain. And then in the main event, we have more Team War. The End and Rodney Mack win that Team War. The End had no eliminations. Odinson was in the match the entire time. Nobody got eliminated. Rodney Mack did not have to come in, nor did Odinson's partner in the end. It was a clean sweep for the End and Rodney Mack. So that is NWA news. Let's get on to AEW news.
Yes, let's get on to AEW news. The night starts off with CM Punk bashing MJF for acting like him.
And he's basically running down. MJF's talking about Piper in Portland. Piper in Portland. Piper in Portland. MJF, you want to be Piper in Portland? Well, I don't have a Valentine this Valentine's Day. Why don't you be my Valentine? Bringing up Roddy Piper and Greg the Hammer Valentine in a dog collar match.
Yeah, and then he also thanked Jon Moxley for getting him that rematch at Revolution. Backtracking, yes, this night starts off with CM Punk and bashing MJF for acting like him because he says how he's better than him and all the other stuff. And then he thanks Jon Moxley for helping him get his rematch. And CM Punk got to choose the match and where it was going to be. Well, he wants it March 4th
March 6th
or March 6th in Orlando. And he
at
was saying
Revolution.
how he wants to be so close to he wants to be linked up to Piper so badly. Well, I'll give you Piper in a dog collar match. And he also vowed that the canvas will be stained not with his shitty spray tan, but with his blood. I think it's going to be a very bloody, gory match.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at the last dog collar match that we had in AEW. Brody Lee and Cody Rhodes. That
And
was
honestly,
just
right
a
now I'm
brutal
looking
match.
forward to all the matches at Revolution that are scheduled. Of course, we will continue talking about more matches that will be coming up for the Revolution pay per view. But as of right now, man, Marty, how do you feel about MJF and CM Punk going up in a dog collar match?
Ooh. You know, it's funny to me because initially I was like kind of hesitant about the fact that like, not really sure if they should really be going the route of a dog collar match again after what happened unfortunately with the late Brody Lee. But I'm really just I'm eagerly anticipating a great match, a great rematch, I should say, between MJF and CM Punk. It's gonna be bloody. It's gonna be brutal at Revolution,
Yes,
and
yes, it is.
quite frankly, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I
I
think I'm
hope
all
CM
for it.
Punk beats the holy hell out of MJF in a dog
And
collar
like I
match.
said on the show before, I really do think that CM Punk is going to get the win at the pay per view, and this is the most important one to get. Um, it'll suck for MJF because he's trying to, work his way up, and getting that loss to CM Punk is going to definitely derail any of that progression. But honestly, it's the right move for CM Punk to get the win
Yeah,
at MJF in Orlando, Florida.
I mean, MJF is trying to cement himself as like a legitimate contender for a world championship or even a TNT championship. But at the same time, it's like if you're going into this match against CM Punk, like, yeah, you won the first encounter, but dog collar match, I don't think there's really. And even then, like, I truly feel like MJF wouldn't, like, really. It would suck for him, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if it would really hurt him that much losing to CM Punk in that dog collar match.
Right.
If you're really trying to build him up as a championship contender, then like I mean, yeah, it might derail a little bit of his momentum, so you would have to build him back up. But honestly, it's not going to hurt him if he loses to CM Punk in a dog collar match.
Right. And going forward, Jurassic Express will be defending their um, tag team titles in a three-way tag match at Revolution. Our thoughts on that? Who do you think are going to be the two other tag teams to go up against the Jurassic Express? I honestly like this three-way, this triple threat tag team match because it brings in more variety for both. Because later tonight we are going to get the tag team battle royal. Next Wednesday will be the Casino tag team um, battle royal. So the winners of both of those battle royals will be heading to Revolution to face off against Jurassic Express for the tag team titles. I think it's going to be the Young Bucks and Red Dragon. That's who I think is going to win. And
Yeah,
don't be shocked if it's the Red Dragon that leads into a Young Bucks versus Red Dragon storyline for the tag team titles, because
yeah,
it makes the most sense.
it does
Nothing
make the most
against
sense.
Jurassic Express being the tag champions, but you knew it was going to be lasting forever being the tag champs. It was a
Yeah,
nice run for them, but right now it makes the most sense for Red Dragon and Young Bucks because they're kind of leading into that whole storyline. And if I watch enough wrestling, that makes the most sense going forward. Because if I'm Tony Khan, what better way to make money than having a Young Bucks versus Red Dragon storyline
absolutely.
heading into Double or Nothing? It
Yeah,
writes itself, folks, and you heard it here first. It's gonna happen. Red Dragon, Young Bucks are going to be your victors of both of those battle royals. Even though Red Dragon and Young Bucks are currently are part of the 10 tag teams that will be in this battle royal, but I think the Young Bucks are going to win the first one. I think Red Dragon's going to win next week's. It could be vice versa, but I really do think that's the two tag teams that will go up against the Jurassic Express. As much as I would love to see Jurassic Express keep the tag team titles because every single week they've been at least defending them against the top tag teams, it's going to be Red Dragon. And honestly, don't be shocked soon enough that the Hardys do reunite on their whole last hoorah. And I think eventually you're going to see the Hardys win the tag team titles in AEW because that's the last tag titles that they
Yeah.
haven't won.
And by the way, speaking of that, if anybody has seen the latest Being the Elite episode, they have definitely been teasing Jeff Hardy heavily in AEW. First of all, with Matt Hardy leaving through the crowd during Isaiah Cassidy's match against Keith Lee, plus now throwing up the Jeff Hardy thing in Mark Sterling's face. But on BTE recently, the Young Bucks have forced Matt Hardy to take a drug test, which is exactly what WWE made Jeff Hardy do in his last match, on his last day in the company. Now, obviously, we know those drug test results came back clean, but it's still furthering speculation that Jeff Hardy could be making his way to AEW.
Yeah, I honestly think so as well. Definitely keep on watching here. Keep on listening to us because we will definitely give you the news of when he will. But we do know that Jeff and Matt will be teaming up with each other on the Indies very soon. So
yeah, already they have matches scheduled against Enzo and Kaz XL and the Briscoes, as far as I know. I think there's another one, but the two ones that I know for a fact are happening are against Enzo and Kaz XL and against the Briscoes, which their match against the Briscoes is going to be one to watch.
Now, going forward, Bryan Danielson does beat Lee Moriarty, but let me tell you something. I almost thought that Lee Moriarty was actually going to beat Bryan Danielson, and there
were definitely some moments in the match where Lee Moriarty was showing and we haven't really gotten a chance to see Lee Moriarty like in his element in a sense. So this was a really good example of showcasing like how aggressive Lee Moriarty can truly be.
And it was a good showing, and this is the kind of match he needed because honestly, I think that he could be a future star in AEW.
Oh, absolutely.
So Tony Khan, I think you definitely have something in Lee Moriarty if you book him the right way.
Tiger Style needs to
branch out.
Yes.
But going forward, yeah, they very well could have won, but Bryan Danielson did unfortunately get the win. So going forward, sign of the week, first one of many. Bryan Danielson cries at the end of Old Yeller.
Yes, I
saw that. I can't confirm or deny that being the truth, but I think that was very hilarious seeing that. He probably would, honestly, not gonna lie, because I know he's a vegan, so.
Yes.
So he probably would cry at seeing an animal die. I know that's bad for me to say, but he probably would.
After all, Old Yeller did get put out of his misery, so.
But going forward, more of Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson wants an answer from Moxley because 2 weeks prior, he asked him, instead of us, would you like to see us fight? Well, I don't want to fight you. I want to team up with you. We could, we could take over the tag team division. But Moxley comes out. He didn't give him a straight yes or no.
He didn't say yes, but he didn't say no.
Could Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson team up and compete for the AEW tag team titles at Revolution?
I don't know. I mean, John Moxley did have a point, though. He might be trying to team up with Moxley because he's scared to face Moxley alone.
There could be very high speculations that he might eventually say no, and then they go up against each other at Evolution. I don't think that's out of the equation either, but definitely keep this in mind. It wouldn't shock me either if they end up being in the tag team match at Revolution. We'll have to see. I'm very intrigued to see what's going to happen with these two tag team tournaments because honestly, I like this. This is something new. This is something fresh. You haven't
Yeah,
actually. I don't think in any of the history of wrestling, I don't think you've ever seen where they get the number one contenders from two, maybe one tag team battle royal, but 2 weeks in a row. I think that's something new. We have never seen that ever in at least the history of wrestling in any
not
company
that
that
I
there
can
is.
think of. Yeah, I
So
mean,
Tony Khan, man, he just can come up with some fresh ideas all the damn time.
yeah,
I hate to say it, other companies take notice because you should know what works. And Tony Khan knows new style ways that work for the company to bring in fresh new ideas to keep it going for the future. And I hate to say it, but a lot of these companies that have been around for 20 plus years, if not more, kind of keep on rehashing the same things. Yes, wrestling has been around for many, many years, but you can come up with some new stuff once in a while. Like, it's alright to experiment with some new things. Like, because if it doesn't work, you get rid of it. If it works, you keep it.
yeah, exactly.
So, so I'm alright with that, but don't be shocked. We'll happen to see what happens. This is must. I hate to say it. Ever since AEW has become a thing, it's been must watch television and pay per views.
Yeah,
Literally every single month, every single week, literally every single year it's been on the air, and that's what keeps on drawing me in is because it's great. It's something entertaining, and you get to see something different like every single week. It's not the same thing every single week. Yeah, maybe it could be the same kind of storylines, people going up against each other, but it's original. It's something different. Like maybe there can be some aspects of some similarities with other things, but there's a lot of differences that happen right now, and honestly, it's something that keeps the fans drawn to it. Yeah, they might not be going to big arenas, but they're selling out almost every single place that they're in. So take notice. Um, but going forward, Keith Lee says he is here to make an impact, and the next phase is to win the face of the Revolution ladder match and become the TNT champion. Thoughts?
I mean, either way, I'm just happy that Keith Lee
I'm
is in a place where they're going to use him correctly.
Yeah, I think so. I like that too. It would be nice to see him win the Face of the Revolution ladder match and win. I
Could
think
we possibly see some crazy spots with Keith Lee and a ladder at Revolution?
I mean shit, we've seen it before in NXT, so why not in AEW?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the sad part too with Keith Lee is when he was in NXT, he was still himself.
Hmm.
It's the second he went up to the main roster that Vince wanted to change him. Don't change what is already established. Don't change
Exactly.
what he has built up himself.
And I think he's gonna have a hell of a great career in AEW, honestly. And you know, I get it. Most of the talent that they have right now is former WWE talent, but let me tell you something. They're great wrestlers. That's the big difference right now. WWE, stop with the entertainment bullshit. You can use it to an extent. Don't get me wrong. There's other companies that do it. But sometimes care more about the wrestling because that's what fans want. Maybe your brand of things is what, gets people over because that kind of crowd likes the comedic and entertainment aspect, but you could get more fans and better draws if you were a little bit hardcore, like a little bit harder with things.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see the entertainment aspect of things. They want to see mostly wrestling and draw more on the wrestling.
Well,
I mean, WWE as of late kind of seems like they're kind of getting back into that feel, but they're just trying too hard.
Well, see, that's another thing entirely is, WWE, get rid of the, 1 minute per second camera cuts. Kevin Dunn, you're able to run a production for WWE television well. Why are you relying on way too many camera cuts?
I don't know. But another best sign of the week that I saw that I think was hilarious: Sean Spears eats corn a long way.
Yeah.
One shocking. That's all I gotta say. No comment on that. I think it's just hilarious. Man, I tell you what, these fans in Nashville, Tennessee, man, they just had no fucking chill there. Absolutely no chill.
Well, I know about the other sign of the week that's coming up later on the show, but man, that one of Sean Spears eats corn the long way. Matter of fact, I actually saw a similar sign in the crowd during No Surrender, but I don't even think it was for any of the wrestlers. I think it was just more so like, oh, one of my friends. This one was actually targeted at one of the wrestlers. Matter of fact, Sean Spears even went so far as to tag the post on Twitter, and he's like, I don't get it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have another member that's going to be in the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Wardlow beats Max Caster
with the Powerbomb Symphony.
Yes. And Anthony Bowens is beating him down after the match because he's a sore loser.
Yeah.
Trying to help out Max Caster. And then he gets powerbombed by Wardlow, but then Sean Spears ends up taking the fame away from Wardlow with another chair shot.
Yep.
When is it going to end? Wardlow, when are you going to turn?
He's slowly building it up. He's slow. Something tells me it's going to happen ultimately at Revolution.
I think so.
He's going to win the Face of the Revolution ladder match, which, it makes the most sense, but at the same time, it's like, why can't it be Keith Lee?
Yeah, I guess we'll happen to see. I mean, of course, we'll give you those Revolution results when they come, which are coming very soon. I mean, it's literally next Sunday, I think. Yeah, next Sunday is Revolution. Not this coming Sunday, but the next Sunday afterwards is Revolution. So we will literally give you those results when we watch it. But as of right now, yeah, man, it's looking to be a banger of a pay-per-view so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
So going forward, if Mercedes Martinez loses, could we see her and Britt Baker going up against one another? Thoughts? Well, apparently they are not going up against each other, but we will say,
although Jamie Hayter did attack,
well, we'll see it. I thought that they would possibly go up against each other at the pay-per-view, but that's not exactly what's happening. We will talk about that. So moving forward for now, Adam Cole comes out to interrupt Hangman Adam Page, who was out there to speak. Page says that his AEW World title is going to be the only world title that Adam Cole is not going to win.
Yeah, because Adam Cole has won a world championship everywhere he's been. Although I don't know if you would really call the NXT title a world championship, but that's you do you, Adam.
Then both men are saying how they don't have the best track record with friends. Clearly, we see what happened with.
If NXT is anything to go by, the Undisputed Era did break up.
The Undisputed Era broke up, and then Adam Hangman Page broke up with the Elite. And right now he's not
Well,
really with.
I was gonna say I don't know if he really broke up with the Elite. They just kind of left him
And
by the
then
wayside.
Adam Cole says that Hangman Adam Page has always been the other Adam,
He's not entirely wrong.
which is very truthful. Now, question: could we see them wrestle each other at the pay per view? Of course, the answer is yes. They will go up against each other for the AEW World Heavyweight Title at Revolution, and I think what will be one of the best matches to see between both men. I think it's going to be like at least a 30-40 minute match because it will have that 60-minute time limit. It's not going to be a 60-minute time limit draw, hell
Oh
no.
hell no.
But honestly, Marty, if you had to go with a winner, who do you think is going to win this match? Do you think it's going to be Adam Cole or do you think it's going to be
I
Adam
think we
Hangman
might.
Page?
I think we might be surprised, but at the same time, I think we might be surprised in the fact that Adam Page retains the championship instead of Adam Cole becoming the new AEW World Champion.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great pay per view main event. I really do think so.
But
It's
I will stick to my word. I think we might be surprised if Adam Cole ends up beating Adam
yeah,
Hangman Page.
it wouldn't shock me to see Adam Cole because he is currently undefeated in men and singles competition. But then again, it would be nice to see Adam Hangman Page retain. But we'll happen to see what happens with that. Another best sign of the week: Adam Cole has a dad bod.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you do. Yeah, I'm sorry.
He's
What?
always been flagged for having a kind of, I don't even know how you would describe it, but his physique has not always been
I'm sorry. Your
that
gut
appealing.
there screams dad bod. But you know what?
Although
You
when
know
he
what?
was
If Britt Baker doesn't care and she's hot as hell, would you care about your physique either?
not at
Not
all.
really.
But going back to that point, when he was in NXT, he had a pretty like decent physique to him. So it kind of makes you wonder like what happened.
Yeah, he doesn't care as much because he's with his girlfriend now.
Yeah.
But going forward with more of, uh, Red Dragon and Adam Cole. Red Dragon and Adam Cole beat down Adam Hangman Page after the match. And to no surprise, Dark Order come down to save
Yeah.
Hangman and Page. Will this lead to something?
I think so. But
I think so.
Before we get to that, we should mention that, Adam Cole was like, hey, all I respect you, I admire you, I love you, and they shook hands. That all went out the window as soon as Red Dragon came out.
Yeah, I think
So
there's going to be at least a six-man tag team match that's going to lead into maybe the go home before Revolution, or at least the night before. That's going to lead more into building towards the match with them beating each other down and stuff like that. Because that's always what usually happens in the go home show to pay per view is some kind of build towards it. So I'm thinking there's going to be a six-man tag team match the Wednesday in South Carolina before
Revolution.
Oh wait, no. I meant to say in Jacksonville, Florida, because that's
Yeah.
where it's gonna be. They're gonna be in Daly's place for the go home show.
Their penultimate return.
They're gonna be in Connecticut later tonight, Bridgeport, Connecticut, the first time in Connecticut for them for the first time. But then the next Wednesday show, the go home show, will be at Daly's place because that's where they like to be all the time.
If I could say anything about the Connecticut show for AEW tonight, it will be interesting to see how Connecticut fares for AEW because Connecticut is literally the home of WWE. Like the corporate headquarters, Titan Towers is literally in Connecticut. So it'll be interesting to see like just how the Connecticut crowd fares with AEW.
Yeah, honestly,
I don't think it'll be much different, but we'll see what happens. We will see what happens.
So I really don't want to say I told you so, but I think I'm going to also kind of say I told you so. So Eddie Kingston returns Again, the 2022 big surprises, returns, and debuts. Eddie Kingston returns to come watch the tag team match between the Inner Circle and Pride and Powerful. To no kind of surprise to me, Pride and Powerful beat the Inner Circle, and then Jericho wants to go after Eddie Kingston.
Yeah.
I told you, 6-man tag team. It's going to be Pride and Powerful and Eddie Kingston versus. But then again, I don't know. It could be a 3-on-2 handicap match, or I really do think that eventually Sammy Guevara is going to rejoin up with Chris Jericho and Jake Hager. I think there's going to be a 6-man tag team match. That's what I'm honestly thinking it's going to be. But then again, who knows? But then again, don't be shocked if Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho face off against each other at Revolution. So
entirely possible. Who's to say Chris Jericho and Jake Hager couldn't phone up an old friend? Who's to say Jericho couldn't get Homicide on his side?
Oh, it wouldn't shock
After
me.
all, they do have his number.
Oh yeah, it should be also known that
Hey, it's long-term storytelling.
At one point, I can't remember if we talked about on here, but when Inner Circle and their demise, that Chris Jericho was saying like, oh well, maybe we should call the actual Latin American Express and call Homicide and Hernandez, which got Pride and Powerful pretty heated up in that exchange. I don't think we actually said it on here when they were having their whole demise, but yes, that was what was happening there.
Well, I don't know if you'd be able to get Hernandez, but you can definitely get Homicide.
Yeah, I think you can get Homicide. I mean,
I don't know so much about Hernandez, but if you're able to get the original LAX, then like all hell's gonna break loose in Impact. Or I'm sorry, in AEW.
You're right.
That already happened in Impact. But it would be even cooler to see it happen in AEW, a wider audience that pretty much knows about both teams of LAX.
So going forward, the Elite will be in a tag team battle royal. Will they both be in the 3-way tag team match? We kind of said it. I think that's probably what will happen, because I think Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson will not team up with each other. But then again, we've been on here and said, oh, well, this is going to happen, and then thrown a curveball. Like we all thought, oh, yeah, well, Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson will face off against each other at Revolution. But then we got thrown a curveball, and they wanted to team up. So anything could happen. As far as AEW, I have not been exactly 100% on point about a lot of things with AEW, because every time we think that it's going to be one thing, it's usually the other, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that means AEW seems a little bit more, real, in the sense that every time you think that you have the answers, you don't, because they keep on changing things, but they change it for the better, because every time, with all this stuff, like if this was WWE, they'll be like, nope, we're going to team up and we're going to, wrestle. That's exactly how it would be. AEW is like, well, or no, they would be wrestling each other and not teaming up. Where AEW is like, well, I want to wrestle you, but I kind of want to team up with you instead. Like, that was a total curveball. Like, the way that they were building that and him watching the matches, they're like, oh man, this is going to set up a match against each other. Well, so far we haven't gotten that exact answer if they are or not. But honestly, as far as the Elite right now, signs are pointing that both Red Dragon and the Young Bucks will be in that 3-way tag team title match. As far as going forward, Thunder Rosa does beat Mercedes Martinez in a no DQ match, which honestly I was not thinking that was going to be the case. I thought it was going to be Mercedes Martinez beating Thunder Rosa, but Thunder Rosa gets that win, and guess who she's going to be getting? She will be getting Britt Baker at Revolution for the AEW Women's World Championship, which, good for her. I think she deserves it.
The ultimate payoff.
And I really do think that Thunder Rosa will actually get it this time.
I think so. Yeah, and even then, it's the perfect conclusion to their lengthy story that they've
Yes, it
had.
is.
Because I believe they're like, if not the first, one of the first encounters between the two women
Was a
was that
lights
lights out
out
match.
match, yeah, where you saw a very bloodied Britt Baker, and she did beat Thunder Rosa right then and there,
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
although it didn't
Oh
hurt
wait,
the record.
actually, I think it was Thunder Rosa that beat her.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
Either way, it didn't hurt
it didn't.
either
I know
woman's
it didn't.
record.
It didn't affect the records whatsoever. But um, going forward, which after Thunder Rosa did beat Mercedes Martinez, it did lead into Britt Gang beating down Thunder Rosa and Mercedes Martinez.
Yep.
And if it is, which honestly makes me kind of think that Britt Baker will win and retain her AEW Women's World Title, because I think the next opponent for Britt Baker, if she does retain it on Thunder Rosa, will be Mercedes Martinez.
Yeah, but ultimately, I think that Thunder Rosa, it's her time. She's been a women's champion before. Granted, it was in NWA,
Right.
but I think she has what it takes to be the AEW Women's World Champion.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's well deserving of her to get it, honestly.
I mean,
So,
after all, she's had like multiple different opportunities to challenge.
yeah.
The
Oh,
first
well, I
the
know.
first outing was against Sheeta
Hmm.
when Sheeta was still the AEW World Champion, World Women's Champion. It was basically a champion versus champion match between the NWA Women's World Champion Thunder Rosa versus AEW Women's World Champion Hikaru Shida, but Shida was putting her title on the line.
Right.
So,
True. Um, Going forward, Sammy Guevara does get the win on Darby Allin with the help of Andrade El Idolo and Matt Hardy.
yep.
Um,
Although it's
actually, with the help of Andrade El Idolo,
yeah,
because he hits him with a
with the tablet,
tablet
the
and bends it.
iPad, that iPad was shattered.
Yeah, shattered and bent.
Yes, I was gonna say no, it wasn't shattered, it was bent.
Man,
But
those two went after each other, but poor Darby. I don't know what they're really doing with Darby as of late.
yeah,
I hate to say it. No
yeah.
offense to Darby Allin, but
Although what did happen in the match is
who's to
unfortunately,
say? Who's to say it can't be Darby Allin and Sting that win the tag team title match? I mean, they weren't one of the 10 tag teams in the first one, but who's to say they can't be in the casino battle royal there
absolutely.
in the go home
But
show?
oh, that made me think. I don't know if they're going to do it. I don't know if there's like a wild card for that like casino tag team battle royal, but who's to say if there was a wild card for the
Oh, I'm sure they
casino
will.
tag team battle royal, the Briscoes.
Oh, that'd be something. It wouldn't shock
But
me.
so what I was going to get back to earlier with Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin during the match, unfortunately, Sammy Guevara did suffer a scratched cornea
Oh, yeah.
during the match, and I know what it was actually from now that I've seen the match when the two were in the figure four when Darby slapped Sammy across the face. I think what happened is as he was slapping, it kind of brushed his cornea and it scratched it.
Hmm. Crazy
So
to think, but Sammy Guevara did do the Spanish fly from the top rope.
yes, and he
Um,
landed on his knee, which you're talking about like, oh yeah, the knee was the main focus. It's like, well, what about his eye now too?
yeah, right.
So,
Yeah, Sammy
but
Guevara has been fighting with broken, bruised, and
yeah,
battered body.
either
So
way, he hit the GTH on Darby to get the win.
also makes you wonder who's in line for the TNT Championship at Revolution too, because I hate to say it, Sammy Guevara really doesn't have a strong opponent for that match.
Yeah, not really. Who's to
So
say there couldn't be a open challenge at Revolution?
it could be. I mean,
And who do we think would answer If you ask me, I think
I
it would
think
be
Johnny
I was
Gargano.
going to say I think it would be a
Well,
perfect stage
actually, you
for.
know what? I wanted to speak about that too. That's a good answer anyway. I really do think that we will see Johnny Gargano as the wild card in the Face of the Revolution ladder match, and who's to say you're going to just win it all?
It's entirely possible.
Um, but then again, he could also be the you know mystery opponent for Sammy Guevara at Revolution. Then again, something tells me it could end up being like one of the men of the year that go up against Sammy Guevara. I think it's going to be
Something,
probably.
yeah, I could see them doing
I
that.
think
I
it's
could
going to be
see them
Scorpio.
shoehorning
I think
Scorpio.
Scorpio Sky. Yeah,
Yeah,
honestly, it wouldn't shock me. We'll happen to see in the next couple of weeks as they build into that match. But something tells me we're going to get a whole Dan Lambert with the Men of the Year. Oh well, Sammy Guevara's face off against these guys. When is it going to be our chance?
again, Tony Khan man has a conspiracy theory against the Men of the Year and American Top Team.
Yeah, so we'll happen to see with that. But so uh, actually, well, I can't even say that. I think, and then Matt Hardy beats down Darby after the match, which I
Yeah,
really do think that it could be um a whole thing going into Revolution. Maybe Darby and Matt Hardy. Um, because honestly, I think Andrade will also. I think Andrade, yes, he's going to be going up against Sammy Guevara for the TNT Championship, but something tells me that might also be a thing that's going to happen at Revolution as well. Um, but and then he holds both titles, showing that he wants the TNT the to be the undisputed TNT champion. Now, the question is, will Andrade be the new TNT champion?
it's it's possible that he could be, and I didn't even think about that. Maybe it'll be Andrade and Sammy Guevara at Revolution for the TNT title.
Yeah, something tells me that Sammy Guevara might win with like weird tactics that could lead into like a rematch at Revolution for the TNT Championship. That's what I'm expecting it as. But who the heck knows? We'll happen to see. But they will be going up against each other. I want to say I think it's Rampage that they're going up against each other. This coming Rampage, they're gonna wrestle for the TNT Championship, if I remember correctly, in the main event of Rampage. But again, speaking of Rampage, Adam Cole beats number 10 of the Dark Order and then shows he wants the title. Doing the whole thing there. He dropped the boom on 10
Yes,
and then showed that he wants the AEW World title. Who's to say he won't do it? Um,
I don't know. He's calling the move like dropping the boom, but to me, like just seeing him in NXT, I still call it the last shot.
Now, this was another funny sign of the week. Hobbs understands Steiner math. So, Powerhouse Hobbs, can you
The numbers don't lie.
deny or can you confirm or deny that you do understand Steiner math?
I mean, he might consider himself a genetic freak. So, and even then, you know, they say all men are created equal, but look at Powerhouse Hobbs. Statement is not true. I could recite the entire Steiner Math promo here, but I'd rather just tell everybody if you haven't seen the Steiner Math promo, look it up on YouTube. It
Yes,
is
please.
hilarious.
Yeah, so we got another member of the Phase of the Revolution ladder match. Powerhouse Hobbs is going to be in a ladder match as he beats Dante Martin.
You kind of expected
Poor
that.
Dante Martin.
Yeah.
That man,
When
literally.
is Darius going to come back?
Yeah, when is Darius going to come back?
I mean, the man was training with Ricky Morton not that long ago. Ricky Morton of the Rock and Roll Express. So he tweeted about it. I don't know what's happening with Darius. Maybe he's still out with injury. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how bad his knee injury is.
I just feel
But
bad for Dante because I think that he could very well have won and gone into that ladder match, but I guess they want to have Powerhouse Hobbs in it, which
Yeah.
honestly, Powerhouse Hobbs, I think is good talent to be in that ladder match, but I don't think he's gonna win it,
Well,
honestly.
that's my thing too. Is like if Darius is healthy enough, have him uh, align back up with his brother Dante, top flight, go be in contention for the tag team titles. Like work
Yeah,
their
that
way
would be
up.
nice. It would be nice. So next week on Dynamite, or later tonight, we are going to see the Bunny and Jade Cargill for the TBS Championship. Thoughts? I honestly hate to say it, the Bunny ain't gonna be beating
Oh
the
hell no.
undefeated streak.
Oh hell no. But even then, like what's the
And
point of having
big
the bunny
question:
challenge?
will we see a debut in AEW where they will beat Jade Cargill undefeated streak and win the TBS Championship?
Maybe, maybe. I'm not too sure though. I mean, if you were gonna have anybody like debut in any sort of like thing, I think we could see like because you know how Serena Deeb has her like 5 minutes of whatever
Mm-hmm.
rookie challenges. Technically, she is still a rookie, Scarlett Bordeaux.
Yeah, I guess that could make sense.
Technically, she's still a rookie.
So,
Technically.
so, I mean, I guess the only other thing I can think of is maybe Serena Deeb could be the one that could go after Jade Cargill, but I don't know if exactly she'll beat
I
Jade's
don't. I
undefeated
don't
streak.
even know if she's ready yet to
I
tackle.
hate to say it, nothing against Jade Cargill being undefeated, but like it's gonna look really, really bad if she does lose and gets that first loss because I feel like all momentum that you built as having her undefeated, being 28 and 0 and being the TBS champion, it's gonna go all to the wayside because then you're gonna have nothing for her afterwards. That's the only thing I don't like with the
Yeah,
whole undefeated streak with Jade Cargill because you're building her up as this main powerhouse, and then who's going to beat her for the title?
yeah.
One and two. If she does get beaten for the title, are you going to do anything with her afterwards? That's the
I can
big
agree
thing.
with that.
Like I don't know how I like about building her up because yeah, it's great to have her have this undefeated streak. Is she going to be like the next Goldberg and go like 174
I don't know if they're gonna go
and
that
0
far.
and stuff like that? Because who the hell knows? That'd be an impressive feat. Um, because honestly, we haven't seen an undefeated streak like that in a long time. And it wouldn't shock me if AEW was to go that far. But even though we don't really see a lot of the women's type matches a lot on AEW, so that would literally take a few fucking years for her to get up to like
Yeah,
170
exactly.
something wins. It's not like she would be on there every single week.
Right.
But yeah, who knows? But also Matt Hardy teasing Jeff Hardy with a whole thing like that
Yeah.
too. Um,
Smart Mark Sterling.
Smart Mark Sterling. Will we eventually see Jeff Hardy show up in AEW?
I,
Duh,
yeah.
duh. They wouldn't
Yeah.
be teasing it. They did the same thing with CM Punk, and look where he is in
Yeah.
AEW.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, of course, you're gonna see Jeff Hardy in AEW. That's gonna be literally where they're gonna retire together is in AEW.
Who's to say after they retire in AEW though that the Hardy Boys couldn't get a Hall of Fame induction?
Yeah,
Possibly.
it
It,
would be nice to see them getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame.
I mean, Jeff did not want to get a solo induction, and I really don't blame him. Like, yeah, Jeff Hardy has a great list of solo accomplishments, but like, man, he wouldn't have had those solo accomplishments if it wasn't for his brother.
Yeah, I know exactly,
So,
exactly. But
if you're going to induct one Hardy, you might as well induct both.
yeah, I know, right? You got to induct both of them. Going forward, Serena Deeb beats Angelica Risk,
Angelica.
and yeah, Angelica Risk in her
DPW represent.
in her whole rookie 5 minute challenge, which is kind of like a joke because she's literally beating them in almost like a couple minutes. Like, why
Yeah.
even have a women's match on Like you're almost wasting like a couple minutes just on Rampage to have her beat these
Well,
no-name
Rampage and
talents.
Dynamite. I mean, she does
Right.
it on Dynamite too, but yeah,
Mostly Rampage.
yeah.
But going to the main event of Rampage, Jay White beats Trent and then hip checks Orange Cassidy.
Yep.
Man, tell you what, Jay White and Trent brought the house down for Rampage,
Well,
man.
that's why I say Jay White has had a hell of a busy weekend because not only did he have that match on Rampage, but he also competed in the six-man tag against BBD, and he was on he was at No Surrender for Impact. So the man has a busy schedule.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's all for it. But is Orange Cassidy next to face up against the Switchblade? I think
Maybe,
so. I think
maybe,
so.
but at the same time, I feel like in that situation, Orange Cassidy is just going to get obliterated by Jay White.
Again, when are we going to see the Elite versus the Best Friends? I'm thinking it's going to be Double or Nothing. Stadium Stampede
Possible.
3.
Yeah.
Best Friends versus the Elite. I hate to say it. I know I keep on hating seeing them in Daly's place, but that's exactly where Double or Nothing is going to be. It's going to be in Daly's place. Because that seems to be the home of Double or Nothing as of late.
Yeah.
The Stadium Stampede is just one of the best matches. It's got that comedic feel, but also very hard hitting
Yes.
type style,
Yes.
and I love it. It's a combo of both, and it's just one of the best matches that they created. Stadium Stampede is literally a classic.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I honestly think it's going to be the first. This is going to be the first time, and you're hearing it here. First time we will not see Inner Circle in the
Yeah.
Stadium Stampede match.
Yeah. Which almost kind of defeats like the whole ordeal of like the Stadium Stampede because like if you're gonna have Stadium Stampede, you gotta have the Inner Circle. But
I know,
I
but
don't think that the Inner Circle, like unless between now and May, the Inner Circle somehow like gets everything together, they become a cohesive unit again, and they have all five of them. But if that's the case, then who's the other five? You don't want to have it be the Elite again for Stadium Stampede.
um, the only other thing I could have thought about that is if the Inner Circle was to somehow get a 5-piece again, it'd be against like Eddie Kingston's group of Pride and Powerful and Eddie Kingston and like a couple others against
Well,
Chris.
if they were going to do that, then you might as well bring in Homicide and Hernandez and have LAX.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, who knows what could happen with that? There's so many different directions that they could go in a coming months and weeks and everything like that. But as of right now, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be concluding this episode of No Final Bell.
Bit of a
Please,
longer episode.
yeah,
this
a bit of a longer episode. It's not usually always going to be like that. But if you look
A
below,
lot to talk about this week.
please
though.
make sure to follow us on social media at Tinkle Sports and Entertainment. Right over here, please make sure to follow that YouTube page, Tinkle Sports and Entertainment. And
that right here is us. No Final Bell with Jason and Marty.
yes, every Wednesday at 5. Make sure to check out that channel, of course. And as always, see you in the next episode.